Hello, hello. Good morning. How we doing, Johnny Mo?
No, can't complain. Woke up again.
Yeah, it's actually supposed to be decent weather, I think, today. Has been the last couple days, so can't complain about that.
I'll take it. I'll I'll,
Um,
I'll be locked in a room programming, doing
yeah,
something.
yeah. Our chime captain here. We'll get into that here a little bit later, but happy Friday. Hope everybody's had a good week. We're jumping on this morning. We're going to go through some of the recaps from the week from the 90 and 90. We're at 30. We're now at 34 listings in not at coming into the end of the ninth week. Um, so
How many?
34.
34. Nice.
34, and a lot of people we're still kind of talking to and that are thinking about it. And as I mentioned in my email this morning, I send these learnings out every week in an email. A lot of sellers that are still sitting there thinking, I want to sell my house. I just don't know when, and I don't know how, and I don't know where I'm going to go. So a lot
Yeah.
of additional thought being put into that. And I was talking to somebody yesterday about that exact thing, and it's when I think the stat was like 85% of homeowners have a rate under 5%. And, for a seller, it's really hard to give up that rate. I mean, I'm at 2.875 to go
Yeah.
buy a house at, 6.5 or 7%. I think there's a big disconnect in the math there that's, I think, causing sellers to really put some additional thought into if they can do it or not.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man, but if we pigeonholed ourselves only to one way of thinking, then we will surely have limited opportunity, right? I talked
Yep.
to a gal the other day, turned the lead into Jeff so he can nurture it and turn it into a sale. She bought a two. She's got a two family, right? She's done living in a two family. Her mom's elderly. She's waiting for mom to pass, and then she's going to move into, retirement, single living kind of thing, whatever. And her situation's different. She's going to pay cash for the next place, right? So for her situation's different than somebody that might be rate looking at the rate. So if we only think that the rate's the problem, right, or is it a holdup, it will be the holdup, right? Look out, always be open and receptive for looking outside of traditional, right? Yeah, I think selling something that you bought low, sold high, got a bunch of cash for it, and pay cash for the next property.
Yep.
I still think that's traditional. That does happen much less frequently than a mortgage,
Yep.
which is the typical way.
Exactly. And I think, ultimately the goal is, to find those buyers and sellers that have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
There's, as we know, there's the levels of need. There's the at the right price I'd sell. There's the I'd really like to do something and I'm still thinking it through. Then there's the I have to do something. Like I have to sell, I have to move, I have to buy. There's life situations that then kick into effect here. And as you get people that are more of the I have to do something and less of the gee, it'd be nice to do something, you're going to see a much higher rate of those people actually getting into the market and doing something versus the people that are just going to continue to think about it and find reasons maybe not to do it.
Yeah, 100%. I feel the same way. Right. The thing is this: we all want listings. We all do. But if you got to take buyers, they pay the bills too, right?
Yep.
And I know if you're looking for a traditional buyer, it's going to be a little bit more cumbersome because of the inventory situation. This is where I think you need to, and I've been getting told this for years, where the agent is going to have to become more well rounded, more of an advisory role.
Yep.
And Jeff, well, I'm probably jumping the gun here, but Jeff just went down to that short-term rental training with, was it Michael Mikalowicz? Did he put that on from Profit First?
I know. I think he was just there for it. It was put on by one of those short-term rental groups.
Okay, so when Michael Mikalowicz is there, to me, that's an important event to be at because he's brilliant with the Profit First
Yep.
model. But that's a whole nother world, right? That I think agents should educate themselves in. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're in Portland, Maine, you got the entire seacoast, right,
Mhm.
of ideal properties that would be great for this. If you're living in Alabash, Kansas, maybe not so much, right? So it is going to be situational depending on where you live. But learning these different approaches can really make a positive impact in your business too. And I just think so many people get tunnel vision tunnel vision
Yep.
of the availability because they're used to logging in to one place and seeing what's available and then responding from there.
Right, right.
I don't think a reactionary salesperson in any business is the best opportunity. I think the proactive one is that goes out there and creates the opportunity. That's true entrepreneurship.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And that's actually a good opportunity to start into our learnings here. So learning number one is, I think you've said it, I think I've said it, and that is to not be at the mercy of the MLS.
Yeah.
I think over the last couple of years, and I've probably been saying this now for a year. Over the last couple of years, we have gotten to the point where buyers come in. We're like, hey, great, here, let me set you up with a search. You set them up with a search, and then that's it. And then we sit back and wait. And we wait for the buyer to find the house they want. Wait for the buyer to contact us if they want to go see it. Wait for the buyer to, to basically treat this like a self-serve kiosk. They're going to come in and place their order, and then you're just going to take that order and fulfill it.
But you're worth your fee.
Well, and that's the thing, like, ultimately to show that level of professionalism and the expertise, we should be using those buyers to prospect for listings and be that professional matchmaker. We should be finding the listing for our buyer. We should be prospecting for that listing for our buyer. Maybe the market delivers, maybe the market does give to you. But if you're working buyers right now and you're just waiting for the market to give and deliver to you, you've lost all control of the process. And you are doing your buyer a disservice by not actually actively looking for the home they want because they think that's what you're doing for them.
If you don't dig for gold, you'll never find it.
100%.
Right. And I think if you engage with somebody with the coveted buyer agency agreement,
Yeah.
It is your obligation to look for other sources of potential properties for your buyer other than MLS.
Right.
Otherwise, what good is your buyer agency? Too many people, I think, use the buyer agency to tie up their buyer.
Yeah.
I can show you 18 different ways to get out of a buyer agency, but that's not the conversation for that. You got to really go out there and be proactive and find what is the buyer looking for. That's really, when you do that, I will agree you're worth your fee. If you just sit there waiting for them to hit MLS and you go and open the door, you ain't worth your fee. I'm sorry.
No, and
that might
really,
that's going to offend some people, but it's real. It's real. If all you're doing is opening doors for somebody and then, you know what I mean, being that response, yeah, there's other things that come in with it. So I'm not trying to minimize that. Getting the offer accepted, knowing this, all these other things. That's part of the job. That is a requirement of the job. It's not even like a special skill. It's a requirement of your job to know the process. It's a requirement of the job to be able to respond quickly. But if all you're doing is being at the mercy of MLS and not in control of your client's needs, are you actually performing in the highest capacity of your job?
Right. Yeah. And you're not. People want to work with problem solvers. They want to work with experts. And if your idea of being an expert is putting them on a 3-click MLS search and then sitting back and waiting for them to call you, that's not demonstrating expertise. I mean, anybody can go and set up an MLS search and wait for them to call.
Mm-hmm.
They're expecting you to be the one that's actually out there prospecting for homes, looking for homes, previewing homes, reviewing the documents, making sure the disclosures are good, doing public records type checks when they go under contract. Like, they think you're doing all this stuff for them. And when you're not, and then this process drags on and on and on, it's going to be harder and harder to get that person to believe you're actually working hard for them, which is also going to lead them to not want to give you referrals, and maybe they don't have a good experience. But if you're out there actually looking and working for them, it's a much different experience. You're now much more in control than if you just sit back and hope somebody else finds what you're looking for.
There was a time in history when I was out there banging real estate all the time hard. And I was known in certain circles. And I enjoyed this circle because they were all early 30s, great professions, starting their families or just getting married, right? They all wanted to live in Wyndham. They're all coming up from Massachusetts into Wyndham. Now, you know Wyndham, but for the people that don't know Wyndham, it's right on the Massachusetts border, 35 minutes to Boston, right? With traffic, maybe 45, right? So commutable to Boston, and high end, high priced for sure.
Yeah,
I don't know
very.
if it's, I think Bedford has more high end homes, quality homes, but Wyndham's prices are higher.
Yep.
And so the prices in Wyndham were at the time, $500,000 home was average in Wyndham. Now that $500,000 home is about $1 million.
Yeah.
Where up here it would have been, half that price, or maybe a third of that price, 2/3 of that price. And so in this particular circle, I was known as the guy that can get you into Wyndham, because even back then there were no homes. It's a small town. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna have 50 homes on the market
No,
ever.
not yet.
You're
Not a
gonna
big
have
town.
15, right?
Yep.
So I was known as the guy that can get you into Bedford in there and to Wyndham in their circle. You know why? Because I knew the agents there that worked, that hustled, that got listings, and I stayed friendly with them and I contacted them. And when somebody said we want to live in Wyndham, first thing I did was I rolled through those 12 agents. Have anything coming on? Have anything coming on? Have anything coming on? And I worked those agents. And then one day I got a call. A lady said, "Oh, I do have something coming on. I probably can't." She got in trouble. That's not my problem. I did my job. She said, well, we're not going to start showing it until Saturday. I said, oh, my people are going to be out of town on Saturday. Of course they're going to be out of town. They don't live in Wyndham. And so I wasn't lying. I said, is there any chance we might be able to get in there Thursday? She said, sure, but don't get me in trouble. I said, I would never. So I went and showed the home, wrote an offer up, 10,000 over asking price. They got the home. No problem, no questions asked. They ultimately sold the home, 2 years later because of marital problems, whatever. And they ended up making like 65, I think over almost $100,000 on the home. Right, I think we sold it for like $569. They paid $489, something like that. But anyways, as a result, in their circle, I got known as the guy. So I did what I always do. I had my cookout. I got to meet their friends. I found another friend, so that's a referral. I ended up helping them get a house for $529 or $549. Same situation. Right? Said, hey, this is hitting the market on Saturday. Nobody knows about it yet. I need you here Saturday. We have an appointment Saturday at 10 o'clock. It's not an MLS yet. It'll be an MLS on Friday. Right? And what we do, we showed up there Saturday, 10 o'clock. I already had my appointment, went in, we got the property. Right? Yep. So there's a difference between being at the mercy of MLS and being in control of the destiny. Right? I don't want to ever be in the mercy of. Get out there, make a good reputation, stay in touch with the people who you just have to look in the MLS. It's always the same handful of people. No matter where you go, it's always the same handful of people.
Yep.
Right. Stay in touch with them.
Yeah. And I don't generally work with a lot of buyers, but I had a buyer a couple of years ago that a friend of mine really wanted a condo in a certain community, in a certain area here. And of course, this isn't Texas. So our condo communities, I think this was like 60 total units. It's 5 buildings of like 12 units so not a big neighborhood. And there's nothing on the MLS, so that's fine. There's only 60 units. What's the likelihood that there's ever more than, maybe one a year hitting the market? So I called to the neighborhood and went a couple times through it over a span of probably a month. And actually found somebody who owned a condo in that association who had actually moved out of state. They were renting it, didn't really enjoy renting it, and were really, they're like, well, geez, if I can get this for it, I'd be happy to sell it. So what did I do? Got the buyer involved, put the property in a contract, negotiated the commission. I was the only agent involved. We got her into the condo. But again, that was, if I'd waited for the market to deliver, I don't know when another unit would have hit. She could have been sitting there for a week. She was sitting there for a year waiting for another.
And if you waited for that condo to hit the market, then you would have probably been in a potential multi-offer situation.
Oh yeah, and she got the condo for what I would say was probably maybe a bit of a discount over fair market value. So it didn't get bid up by 10 other offers, and she was excited. She got in the neighborhood she wanted to be in a first floor corner unit where she wanted to be, and it just so happened that by being proactive, I found her what she wanted, and we were able to cut through all the noise and nonsense and get her in there. So,
yeah,
and that ultimately I think is the best case scenario when you can actually go find it.
I'm gonna say this. I said this the other day, and I think I lost some friends on it, but I'm a big boy, so I'm okay with it. You don't have a lead problem. You have a discipline problem, plain and simple. Mm-hmm. Right? You don't have a lead problem. You don't have an inventory problem. You have a discipline problem. You've been spoiled over the I'm even going to say during the market crash, we were spoiled. Because if you had positioned yourself right and you're working with investors, you would have sold a crap load of properties.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I know I
Exactly.
did. Right? Sold over 100 myself that year. Right? Those couple of years. I bought 5 or 6 myself.
Mhm.
You don't have a lead or an inventory problem. You have a discipline problem. And that discipline problem is because you're operating on that mercy, on that reactionary type mindset, right? It's almost like the same in psychology, that victim mindset. Until
Right.
you can break that cycle and get out of it, you're always going to be the victim, right? Just like are you the victim of MLS, right? Are you the victim of the MLS, a victim of mercy of MLS, of the other agents?
Yep.
To I think we've gotten carried away with listings, leads, leverage. And I don't mean to pick on Gary Keller. I mean, that's what he says, and MREA and everything else like that. He's right. But
Absolutely.
I think too many people are out there chasing listings, which is, don't get me wrong, is everything I suggest too.
Yeah. If you control the inventory, you control the market. I mean, we know that's always been the case.
Yeah. But listen, if you're a meat purveyor
Right.
and you can't get this type of beef, but you can get this type of beef, you're selling this kind of beef.
Exactly.
Right? So you got to be able to morph and say, I'm working with buyers. Let me make this happen. Hey, sellers, let me make this happen. Yeah. Right? So you got to work with those people and work with them in your higher capacity, because when you're working like that, you're going to generate other opportunities.
Well, and I think back to that point, I think the listings leads leverage concept is misunderstood too, because you want to take listings because that creates leads, but the leads that creates are buyer leads. So really you're taking listings to create leads. Those leads are often buyer leads that come back in through the network. And then you need leverage because now you've got all this transactional activity that you need to be able to focus on. So it's not just a matter of having buyer leads come in and discarding them, which I think some people think like I should only take listings. No, you should utilize the buyer leads that come in off the listings. Listings are one of the best marketing tools we have. When you put your sign in somebody's yard, that is a massive amount of immediate social credibility that somebody's actually trusted you to sell their home. So that gets you immediate credibility. It also generates leads, and those leads should then be taken into your network, to your system, and either handled by you or somebody on your team, because it's a massive lead generator.
Yeah, I look at real
sign
estate.
calls are still a thing. We still get sign calls.
Signs are still a thing, man, for sure. Not only when you take that listing, you get the sign, you get it across social media, digital assets, and all these other places. Listen, man, real estate, you got to look at it like playing Pac-Man, right? Sometimes you're eating all those dots, and those ghosts are trying to chase you. That's the economy, and that's the other agents are all trying to get you. And then every so often, you got to eat one of those power ups, turn around and go and eat all the ghosts up, right?
Exactly.
You got to be able to morph in this business. You got to be able to shift in this business. And I don't want the shift to get misconstrued with like a market shift or anything else like that. You have to be, real estate's a metamorphosis, right? It is a continual metamorphosis. What's working today might not work tomorrow. What worked a couple weeks ago, who knows? You did a video on this, now all of a sudden every agent in your market's doing a video on that, right? So it's a metamorphosis. You got to continually evolve, but always take that opportunity. When you're looking for listings for your buyer, you're doing seller lead generation activities.
Mm-hmm.
Other opportunities are going to shake out of the wall. Out of the shake out, whatever. Shake out. It's still early. But other opportunities are going to shake out, right? And on top of that, if you got nothing to do, educate yourself. Short-term rentals, long-term rentals. What does cap rate mean? How do you figure that out? Start doing some videos on investing. What does it look like to buy a 3-family? What does it look like to buy a 2 or 4? Right? These types of things. If you want to go, put the real big kid pants on and big kid boots on, start learning about commercial financing and 5 to 10 units and those types of things. It's a different ballgame.
It is.
Right.
It is.
But start learning about these other opportunities that exist, not just residential real estate, MLS, residential real estate, MLS. Right. There's so much more out there.
Right. And that's exactly what our second learning was. And one of the things I spoke to on Monday was, diversify your client base. Because right now, if you're working solely with residential buyers and sellers, those concerns and motivations of that whole buyer group, that whole demographic, it's the same. They're all dealing with the same set of restrictions. They're all dealing with issues around inventory and interest rates. And when you're working solely in that area, um, things like interest rates and inventory will actually be what stops your business completely. Um, where on the other side, I work with a lot of investors and commercial clients. I'm busier than ever right now because your investors and commercial clients don't care. They don't care about inventory because they're going to continue to hunt for deals. And a lot of times those deals come in off market. Your commercial users, they need to place a business somewhere. Interest rates don't matter to them. If they're a tenant, they really don't matter. If they're buying, it's more a matter of does it work for my business and can my business withstand it? But as an investor myself, I don't care what the interest rate is. If the property cash flows, it cash flows. If the deal works, it works, whether it's at 2% or 20%. Like I don't care what the rate is because I'm not paying it. It's being paid for by the property. So when you have some diversification in your client base, as things in the economy shift or inventory trends shift or buying and selling trends shift, you're a little bit more insulated from being completely and entirely shut down by one segment because when one is strong, the other's weak and vice versa.
Yeah.
And that's ultimately, I think, what helps us is that we can branch into other areas. So when you do have some weakness in one side or the other one picks up the slack.
Yeah, I think so. And, it's just much better all the way around when you're working with those types of people, when you're working with those types of people, it's, it's business. The numbers work and the numbers don't.
Yep,
When you're working in the residential world, that exists to some level of common sense, but there's more
absolutely,
emotion involved, right?
absolutely.
There's more emotion involved.
And then
So,
and just one caveat to what I said is don't start working with commercial clients or investors if you have no idea how that works.
yeah,
Like you said, get educated, learn about short-term rentals, long-term rentals, commercial spaces, 5+ unit buildings, like learn about that business so that you're not doing it uneducated.
hmm,
But if you can actually expand and diversify what you do, it'll make your life a lot easier.
yeah, no doubt. All right, what else we got?
All right, last one, and you mentioned it too, and it was a big part of the event we went to is that the networking component. So we want to be networking not just in our community with clients and referral sources, but also other agents and vendors in our market. I say that because you want the best vendors working with you, the best lenders, the best inspectors, the best
Yep.
title companies. So the process is smooth and fewer problems come up. And when they do come up, they're handled. Like you don't want to be working with the people that create problems and then point fingers. And you don't want to be working with that group of vendors. You want the vendors that are gonna get stuff done. When they come across a problem, they're going to communicate it and take care of it, and they're going to get you to the closing table. But also, you want to build relationships with the other agents in your marketplace so that they want to work with you. Because what we find is, and we're all guilty of it, when offers come, if we have a listing and offers come in, there are certain names we see that we kind of go, I don't want to do another deal with that person. Last time it was this, time before that it was
You
this.
know it's going to be
I
difficult.
know they're going to wait until the last minute to communicate anything. Like they're going to make this hard. So I just don't want to work with them. I do. I mean, and we scan the offers and say, look, here's the best offers. Mr. and Mrs. Client, here are the best offers, and here are the ones that are most likely to close. And if the people we find are difficult, they're not in the most likely to close pile. They're in it's one of the best offers. It's not the one we'd recommend you take though.
Mhm.
And that reputation has a big part in how your offers, how your communication gets received by the other side. And you
Yeah.
want to be the agent that is building win-win situations, that has that great reputation that people want to work with, because it's going to give your clients a better shot at getting what they want, because people will actually want to work with you.
You're exactly right. That's 100% true. There's some people in my market that are jerks, pit bulls, rabid pit bull. I say pit bulls. My best friend's got a pit bull puppy. He's happy as can be. So I mean, they get a bad reputation, stereotype, but just rabid, right? You did just unsavory. You don't want to work with them. Now, don't get me wrong. That might be me too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I could be
Yeah.
one of those. I could be one of those too. I don't know.
Because I'm straight business, man. You
Yep.
know what I mean? What does the contract say? I don't care what you think, right?
Yep.
If you didn't put it in writing, it is not my problem. If we didn't discuss it, it is not my problem, right?
Yep.
Uh, so don't get caught. So do your job.
Yep.
Represent your client. You're gonna pay. You're worth your fee. Represent your client. But there's some people in my market. I'm not even gonna. I don't want to say any names, but they're like, oh, I don't want to work with so and so. That person's a real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I've had 3 transactions with that person. We ain't never said hello to one another. But when she said inspection response will be in on time, they weren't on time. When she
Yep.
said there will be no issue with financing, there was no issue with financing. When she said that they're very well qualified, they were very well qualified. She's not working with, internet or any kind of lead that's not well qualified.
Yep.
Right. There's reason this gal been in business for 30 years and's always winning awards, right? Because she does her job.
Right.
And so when she says we'll have no issue with closing, we had no issue with closing. So when she would call me and say, I have somebody interested in this property, are there any offers? No. Or, well, I can tell you that there's 2 with the seller's permission. I can never tell you the terms, right? I'm not gonna get into that game. But if the seller gives me authorization and it's right on the listing agreement in New Hampshire, may disclose existence. That's the key word, existence of other offers. Okay, great. I'll have an offer to you within the next 25 minutes. Bang, there it was, minute 24, right?
Yeah.
So yes, you might not want to have pancakes with this person. You might not
Yep.
want to have a cocktail
Yep.
with this person. Probably not going to see them at any realtor networking events. The person's going to get the job done. So, but
Yeah.
being nice, I just want to talk about that. Being high energy, being likable, being that Labrador retriever, that golden retriever, I should say, that chocolate lab, that happy dog, you know what I mean? Doesn't have a mean bone in its body, gets you a lot more than being a Cane Corso, right? Or even a Great Dane. They're just
Yep.
big dogs and they look ominous. They might be nice, but they just look big and ominous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that positive high energy gets you more business. And even if we look out there in the real world, the Ryan Serhants and stuff like that, if he was low energy, if Tony Robbins was low energy, if Tom Ferry was low energy, these people wouldn't be getting the business that they were getting.
Right.
Now I'm low energy. I'm not high energy. I'm not going to bounce around. I'm not going to dance around. I'm not going to come with this whole fake enthusiasm. Maybe theirs is real. I don't know. I don't come with that,
Yeah.
right? And as a result, I feel that impact, self-awareness too, right? I feel that impact, but I'm not going to change now at the age of 50. It
Well,
is what it is, and either you like what I do or you don't.
right.
That I'm kind of like this other agent. I'm excellent at what I do. I do
Yep.
what I do. Either you're on board or you're not, right?
Yep. You got to do you. Ultimately, you've got to do what works for you, what's comfortable to you, and what comes naturally to you. If you try to be somebody else, everybody's going to know that. But and then just to kind of close out that previous thought is, there are agents there are agents that maybe you don't enjoy, but you work with because they get it done, but you aren't necessarily friends. There's agents that you love working with because you just get along together well. But then there's the agents that you just generally try to avoid because you just don't like how they do things.
Yeah.
So I would be careful, just because you don't like somebody or you don't necessarily get along great with somebody doesn't mean they wouldn't be good to work with. You want to look for the agents that would be good to work with, um, and avoid the ones that just don't do things in a way that works for you. Because we come across it all the time. We've got the agents that love to like try to slip things in at the 11th hour, so you get no chance to review it, like jamming a bill through Congress. You've got those agents that say one thing and do something different. The ones that really don't do anything, expect you to do everything for them. And the ones that I've had many just like outright lie to me, and those are the people that I honestly I would do everything in my power to never work with them again.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I'm not going to put my client at jeopardy if they're the only offer. But if there's 2 offers, I'm going to highly encourage the seller to take the other one.
Cringeworthy.
Yeah.
Cringeworthy. You don't
So,
want to work with that person. They're cringeworthy.
yeah. And it's
Um,
honestly, and you're not going to get along with everybody, and that's okay. But you want to work with people that are actually trying to create a win-win situation, trying to get
yeah.
everybody on the same page and to the end result, not just trying to make things hard.
So we started this in the topic, and I'm still going to say that in what you just said and what's going through my mind right here. Be that agent that gets the job done. Be that agent
Yep.
that has integrity. Be kind to everybody. Friendly to no one. Right?
Yep.
I don't mean that in a negative way. Just be kind to everybody. You don't have to be their buddies. You don't have to have drinks with them. You don't have to get to know one another. Be kind to everybody. Yes, no, thank you, please. Right? Be kind to everybody. Do your job. Don't be that agent that's like, oh, I forgot to have that signed. Oh, I forgot to do this. Oh my God, I didn't include that. That all comes back to discipline.
Right.
Now, I don't care if you got ADD. I got ADD. Okay, so please don't
Yeah.
use your excuses with me. It means that you don't have discipline.
Yep.
I don't care how busy you are. I've sold hundreds of houses myself.
Yep.
Okay, 102, I think, that one year by myself. Yeah, I was ragged. My paperwork was right, and I had to do billing for the bank.
Oh,
Right.
right.
So don't please don't you. Oh, I'm a single parent. So isn't I. What other
Yep.
excuse would you like to use? I stayed up an extra hour to do reports at night or whatever the reason was. Okay? I did it. I did it too. So,
Yep.
it's discipline. Discipline is the key to your success. Be kind to people. If you can just master in this business being kind and
Yep.
having discipline, that will keep you in integrity and people will want to do business with you.
Yep. 100%.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, 100%. So, it's been a this 90-90 certainly been challenging. This market's been different.
Mm.
We have a lot of activities come from it, which is really the end goal of it. When all is said and done, I would suspect that we're going to end up with about 90 pieces of business in 90 days. May not all be listings, but the business is there. Like the business is there for the people that are actually doing the work. And we're always looking for people that want to come in and learn our proven methods and techniques and come in and do the work and build a business for themselves. That's what this team is built on. And we got a couple agents on our team that are on pace for their best year ever. And a lot of people I know right now are not feeling that good. But really, if you're, to your point, if you're disciplined and dedicated and doing the right work and doing the things consistently, the business is there.
I went upstairs yesterday at the office, and I had never been up there. So I went up there to check that out. Will was in there, standing up at his stand-up desk, making phone calls, disciplined, doing his follow-up. There, that is the require. If it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you don't have appointments, you should be doing something similar.
Yep.
Right. You know what grinds my gears?
I love Family Guy.
Was that. Well, first, let me say this. The goal is 90 listings in 90 days.
Yep.
The requirement is 90 pieces of business in 90 days, right? So the goal is the goal. The requirement is the requirement. But you have what's one of the top ranked teams, according to U.S. News, the number one in Maine team, taking a half hour out of their busy schedule each week to give back, to say, hey, this is what we're doing. Learn from us. We had 500 people register, and one person showed up to the live event. Now, I know everybody's got every excuse in the world, and there are excuses. They're excuses, okay? That's what they are. They're excuses. And if you're on an appointment, you're on an appointment. It's still an excuse, but if you're on an appointment, you're on an appointment.
Right.
I don't think all 500 people were on an appointment.
No, based on the inventory levels, they couldn't have been.
Right. And so one person showed up to the live event to potentially ask you and Jeff, who sell 300 plus homes a year, 100 million plus a year, and one person showed up. Again, you don't have a lead problem. You have a discipline problem. I'm going to say that, and I'm sorry if it's offensive, but the moment, until you can look in that, just like an alcoholic, until you can look at that mirror and say, I have a problem, you'll never address it, right? You have a discipline problem. And even you don't blame me. Blame Matthew Ferry, Mike Ferry's son, Tom Ferry's brother. He says the same thing. You have a discipline problem.
Well, and I think, as we've said all along, it's 12 weeks. It's a big commitment, but ultimately it's the work that needs to get done. And I think the difference between us and the sustained success that we've had and the typical agents is the fact that, I think The Rock said it many times, we're just going to outwork you. We're going to outlast you. Mm-hmm. And that literally this business is so unbelievably simple. If you just commit yourself to do the activities, the business is there. Yeah. If you just get into a relationship with enough people, the business is there. But the reality of it is, I'm listening to podcasts and I'm talking to a lot of people. So many of these teams and agents, their business is built on paid leads and has been built on paid leads for so long. And we have agents that would happily take paid leads from us in our own
Yeah.
marketplace.
That same lead has been sold 15 times.
Right. Right. But
True
it's
story.
one of those things where, the most important part of a business we've given away. We're expecting somebody else to provide for us, which is dangerous. Um, but more importantly, like when the market gets difficult, if that's how your whole business is built, and the number of leads gets cut in half or gets cut by 2/3, you're strictly a passenger on this ride to nowhere. And the cost of those leads gets more expensive because there's less of them. The competition for those leads gets more aggressive, and you are literally just riding along. Um, and that's why, I mean, I think NAR is predicting 250,000 agents are going to leave the business before the end of the year.
Mhm.
And that's what, 15% of the agents out there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's that number's probably going to end up being larger because ultimately the people that are doing the work, and there's many people doing the work that maybe aren't following along with us or aren't showing it. And I applaud those people. But ultimately, the reason that we took 15 listings in the last 2 weeks. The reason we're doing that is because we've got the staying power and the lasting power that most other people don't.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Listen, back in, I think it was 01, 02 at Family Reunion, Gary Keller had said, it was in Orlando, so whenever that was, something along the lines of mega teams are the future because it's going to get so expensive. It's going to get so expensive that a new agent coming into the business isn't going to be able to break in to Zillow, into Realtor.com, or any of these other places. They're not going to be able to compete with pay-per-click or any of that. That's why what we're doing, we have the perfect storm going on because you guys had this vision and have been putting this into practice, and I have the vision and I've been putting it into technological implementation. And we're using Chime. We'll end up probably building our own thing for the greater good, but for
Yep.
the real estate agents, we're using Chime. I'm optimizing Chime. I got one of the pages on the first page of Google for a very important key term.
Yep.
I will not share or show any of this, so don't ever ask me because I'm not going to show you what I'm doing for my paid
No.
clients. But they're on the first page of Google for a very important term for their area. And that doesn't just happen. It doesn't happen because you wrote a blog. I'm going to say
Right.
something, Harrison. Writing blogs is useless, 100% useless if you are not writing them properly.
Yep.
It doesn't. I don't care what you want to write. I don't care if you want to write a blog just to stay in touch with your past clients. Cool.
Yep.
If you think that blog is going to rank somehow, it's not, because there's structure you have to follow. There's particular order you have to follow. There's keywords that you have to put in there, right? You need so many headings. You need so many paragraphs. So if you're not utilizing these tools to tell you that, then it's only for vanity. It's only for your own personal use because it's not going to compete out in the digital world. It's just not. It's protocol to follow. But we're using, and this is something that I have taught. This is something that I preach. Matter of fact, somebody asked me if I can help them with ads and landing pages. I said, this is how we do it, and this is the only thing we'll talk about. And
Yep.
because that's all I don't want to come out of that focus, but we're utilizing video. You're utilizing video to stand out in the community. You're utilizing video
right here.
right, to make relationships.
Yep.
We're using video to grow the main small business advocacy group. Right now, all of a sudden, bring small businesses together where you and Jeff are going to be the central light, the central figure of this small business advocacy group.
Yep.
Where you got podcasts locally. You do so much more stuff than I know. I just got my small piece in it.
Yep.
But why don't you go on and explain a little bit more about what you guys are doing and your vision with the video and the Chime and the blogs and the optimization stuff?
Yeah. So, and I apologize if I end up going off on this crazy rant here, but
it's okay.
We've been huge believers in video for a long, long time, and we use video in a lot of different ways. It started off during COVID. We started recording everything we did. We started recording the processes our staff did so we could build out an operations manual. It was all based on video. We started recording all of our trainings, all of our meetings, so that our team had that library, that archive of things they can go back and reference. Literally, Google Meet, push record, do the thing. And it just started off as we did that out of necessity to make sure we kept all this video stuff we were creating during COVID handy. And then we realized, wow, this is actually really cool and powerful that If you miss the meeting, you can go back and watch it. If you miss the training, you can go back and watch it. The new agent that joins us 6 months from now can actually go back and watch this training. So now we're not having to like do everything over and over again. We're not recreating the wheel every couple of months. So it started off that way. And then we were like, wow, if we can do that with this, with our own team, what else can we do? And what many people don't realize is that Jeff began his career writing a blog and doing videos around Portland, the I Love Portland, Maine concept.
Mm-hmm.
And he built his whole business off the blog to the point where like he had event hosts and various businesses like reaching out to him and be like, hey, we got an event coming up. Can you promote it? He helped the guy that launched the Just a Kid from Mainline and all these different things. And then I was using video in my prior life because that's how I communicated to a national company. So like we both came at it from videos are crazy powerful to get in front of people. So we started doing kind of coaching and training through Evolution Systems. And that started off with, things like this, live events or recorded trainings. Now we're putting courses out on the site and we're doing, coaching and group coaching via video. I do a couple of different podcasts. I do a podcast. It's called the Remind Podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple. You can also find it on YouTube, where I'm interviewing other real estate entrepreneurs, getting inside of their mind, asking them questions. I'm really excited. I'm going to record one this afternoon with David Tam, who I've long admired, who's got a great story.
Yeah.
And it's a chance for that person to come on and share their story. So what that does is it gives me an opportunity to basically mastermind with these people by hearing their story and talking to them. I give them back a piece of content they're welcome to use. I cut it up into clips and repurpose it. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's been a great chance for me to also network and increase my exposure because I'm very much an outsider to this industry. I was in the industry for years, but I was on the development side. I was part of about $600 million worth of commercial development as part of an investor group. So I was in the inside of the industry, but not like the agent side of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's, I've been in this industry a long time, but I don't necessarily have the same name recognition or network that like Jeff does, who's been in the agent industry for so long.
Yeah.
So it's been a great chance for me just to network and get out there. And then we've done, we've morphed that into live events and live things like this and the 90 and 90. And honestly, we feel like we have a lot of things we can do to help, a lot of value we can offer, and just want to be able to get it out there. And at the same time, if people want more and they want to go deeper, we do have paid options where we can work closely with them. But, and then in addition to that, we're doing a lot of stuff community focused. So I'm starting to record videos with business owners that we can publish locally. And that's why I get really excited about the Chime solution, because what's always been missing from that is lead generation. We make all these great videos, we put them on YouTube and Facebook, and then that's kind of like where it dies. How do you find out who's watching those videos? How do you interact and engage with those people? Other than comments and responses, there's no opt-ins. There's no, hey, I'd like to know more. I'd like to sign up for your newsletter. I'd like to, I love what you guys are doing. I'd love to buy a house with you or look for a commercial property with you. So what Chime allows us to do is add lead capture, but ultimately we've become really, really big about controlling our own traffic, controlling the eyeballs of our consumer. Because when they get on a place like YouTube, what do they see? Everybody else's stuff. When they're on Facebook, what do they see? Some of our stuff, because Facebook doesn't deliver it all, as we know. They also see everybody else's stuff. So if we can find a way to drive them to our website to see our stuff, to engage with us, to opt in for more, so we can now build that relationship, we're now in complete control of that relationship versus being reliant on a third party to continue to deliver our person or somebody in our network, our content, and not just give them everybody else's.
My friend Saul Klein has always talked to me about portable communities. And, you can't necessarily take your audience from Facebook. You can't necessarily take your audience from YouTube.
Right.
Okay. That piece of content that you're producing, that is being consumed by the people.
Yep.
It's the attention of the consumer that these companies want, because the more attention that they get of yours on their platform, the more the advertisers have the chance to potentially be seen. Okay.
Yep.
But when you can get those people into your newsletter, when you can get those people into, and that's key, right? You want to get them into your database, because now you just said it, you're in control. So you get them to your website because you shared a blog that's pixelated, or you shared a video and you drove them to an article or something along those lines. You wrote an optimized piece, so when somebody searches for bakeries in whatever town,
Right.
here you are for some strange reason. People are like, what is this? Now all of a sudden they go back to the social platforms. The whole time you're trying to get those people to your platform because that's a portable platform.
Exactly.
It's so powerful. And I think people miss the boat because they listen to too many of these gurus, okay, out there that have 30,000 followers, but they still have 4 likes on their videos. I
Right.
mean,
It's
is that
vanity
working?
metrics.
Is that the best strategy? I think the best strategy for me is the relationship. I'd rather
Yeah.
have 100 people, influential people in my area. I'd rather have 50 influential people I'd rather have 25 influential people in my area come together that I'm building a relationship with,
Yep.
that sees me as giving back, as a pivotal person, doing something extremely different than the other 30,000 real estate agents, and say, this person is a person of high value. I want to introduce you to him, right?
Yep.
Oh, you want to sell your real estate? You need to go with, right, Johnny Moe. So by being seen on social media, yeah, those things are all important.
Mhm.
The views are all important. They build that notoriety, but the goal of any of it is to build a relationship. So how do you build that relationship? I like to try to get my online relationships offline. When you get
Exactly.
face to face with somebody, you can tell right off the bat whether you want to work with them or not.
Yep.
Online, you can do have anybody you want.
Well, and I think it's important that you think about when you open up Facebook on your phone and you scroll Facebook, just all the noise that shows up. Every fourth or fifth post is an ad. You're
It's
getting
horrible.
all this random stuff from groups or other people. Like it's noise. It's a
I'm
lot of
not even on
noise,
it much anymore.
and that's honestly like I find that I can't like it. I just it's too much to try to find anything I want to find. So like
Mhm.
I find that when I open up my feed, like I go to very specific places to go and like engage. Like I love to come into the community leaders real estate, Facebook page group and actually talk to people and engage there because the feed is just too much.
It's
If
way
I
too
feel that
much.
way, then I'm sure all the people that I'm talking to feel that way too.
And
So
that's
the
why when
more,
I put a video out of me eating ribs at some
yeah,
famous place in Maine,
yep,
it gets favorited, it gets saved, it gets commented on because it's not the same dumb nonsense.
exactly, and that's the thing. You've got to you need content that stands out, but ultimately, if you are solely reliant on your network being nurtured and engaged through a platform like Facebook, where one algorithm change could destroy your page or your community,
Overnight.
you're in serious trouble. So, what we love about the Chime solution is that we can put videos, blogs, we can have categories, headers, sections, opt-ins, IDX. Like people can, it's a one-stop shop for people that want to come in and either learn about the area, learn about small businesses, network. It's a one-stop shop, and now they can come in there. They get fed our information. They stay within our ecosystem. We
Mhm.
control the traffic, we control the relationship, and we're not reliant on some third party to hopefully continue to show these people what we're doing. We're able to bring it right to them.
And the key about what we're doing is, it's core of what this methodology is. It's core of a jab, 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 right hook is all about. It can't all be about real estate. You'll burn your audience out,
Right.
right? There's 2 schools of thought out there. One is that quick exchange, qualified or qualified, gone. Then there's the other exchange. That's the one that I follow. I'll take all those people that you don't want to work with and put them into an audience. And in 2 years from this point forward, because listen, the problem with our industry is it's that exchange. Okay, it's that
Right.
exchange of a closing for $5, 10, $15,000, whatever you're making, right?
Right.
2,500, whatever. It's that money then is your survival money, and most people they haven't got into true entrepreneurship. That's why I say real estate is not entrepreneurial. Okay, it's self-employment.
Mhm.
But when you start being entrepreneurial about it, things like you're doing, things like I've done, those things start to happen, right?
Right.
But if you're just there for that exchange, that's not entrepreneurial. That's a job.
Yeah. And
And so what's happening is they get that exchange, they instantly need to move on to another exchange. They never reinvest into their business. They
yeah.
don't think, how can I stand out? I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk said it in 2016. That's 9 years ago. That you need to think of yourself as a media company.
Mhm.
I can guarantee you that there's a high percentage in the 90s probably above 95%, that doesn't think that like a media company. They put out
Yep.
stupid videos that are like, "Hi, look what I can do." All right, just sold another one in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you think lack
Well,
of inventory had anything to do with it,
yeah. Well, and I
or are
think,
you a marketing genius?
yeah, and I think that, I certainly applaud the people that are actually making videos and they're putting themselves out there. I'm not a huge fan of the dancing TikToks and the weird voiceovers and all that stuff. Like, if you enjoy doing that and it works for you, great. Continue to do that. But
Have fun.
we want to create content that's impactful to the community, impactful to our client base, impactful to people around us. And people are always surprised at how little we talk about real estate.
Mhm.
I mean, it's shocking how little we talk about real estate, because ultimately we're big community people. We believe in the community. We want to see the community thrive. If the community thrives, then ultimately there is a piece of that ends up coming back around to us, and we do get things from it. But
Yeah.
I really love stopping into local small businesses, talking to the owners, talking to the staff, seeing how things are going.
Mhm.
Because my background is business. I've been an operator and a business owner for years. That's really my passion. So being able to tie that into real estate is it's a bonus for me. But what I love about Chime is that we are literally moving all of our stuff to a platform that we now control, traffic we control, relationships we can nurture, relationships we can actually better understand,
Mm.
and that will allow us to take our networking and communication and content game even farther, because now we're in total control and we're not beholden to a third party. So
No.
I'm really excited about that. We're launching our site here. I know we got other partners that are launching their sites. And for people that are making their own videos, we can just help you with the site. You don't have to necessarily make videos with us, but if you want help making videos, we have a variety of solutions that can help those people. But I do think having total control of your content, of the eyes of your community, is huge. It's huge.
Yeah. I think it is too, and you got to be different to stand out, and it's all what you want, right? It's not for everybody. If you are a networking type person, if you want to stand out, if you're a creative person and you want to make videos and blogs and things like that, it's the right way. It's the right place, but you need the right training to
You
do
do.
it. Otherwise, the blog becomes useless. I mean, just search SEO,
Yeah.
right? SEO is the coveted prize right now. I know how to do it, on an elementary level, and the people that we're bringing in are experts at it. They
Yep.
write AI for companies, right?
Yep.
So, we're going to be able to bring that in, and part of the evolution of Explore My Town with you, with you and Jeff, was to have three offerings, right? One offering is, hey, listen, we'll give you the Chime site and we'll train you. We'll show you everything that we're doing. You're invited to all of our
Yep.
trainings. You're going to edit your own stuff. You're going to
Yep.
optimize your own stuff. We're going to show you how,
Sure.
right? Because that's very, very important.
Yep.
The next level is, okay, you want to leverage the editing and the write ups, and we're going to offer that. That's level 2. And level 3, and there's price points to all these,
Mhm.
right? And then level 3 is going to be, okay, we're going to do this SEO package for you that is really going to help you and your brand. And that's portable with you,
Yep.
right? So if you want to do it yourself, but be part of the gang, you're in. You want us to help you do some of it, like the hard part, the editing, the ideas, the content, and all that other stuff. You're in. You want us to do the SEO, the search engine optimization, the Google stuff, the keyword research, the directories, and all that other stuff. You're in. You're in luck.
Yep.
You want us to run the ads? There's two things. The reason we went with Chime on this is because they have the back end built right in where you can do it
Oh yeah.
yourself. Real simple. They
Super
got a
easy.
great team that'll help you do it,
Yep. Super easy.
or you can hire our experts to do it, right? And they will do it $500, and I think 400 of it goes to ad spend, right?
Yep.
So there's multiple ways to do it. You just have to invest in yourself, and it's like anything. If I can get you I can get you 1,000 leads, easy.
Yep.
But I don't want 1,000 leads
Yeah. Right.
because they're not leads.
No.
Those are not leads. Those are suspects. They're inquiries.
Yep.
Right? That's what they are. I'd rather have 10 leads of qualified people because I'm going to convert those at a much higher percentage with less effort.
Yep. But at the
And
same time, I want all 1,000 of those names in my database, getting my newsletter, seeing my videos, and being part of my networking ecosystem, so that when they are ready down the road, we can capture them.
yeah.
but we definitely want to find that more engaged crowd that steps forward and says, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I want to be a part of it, and I want to work with
Well, if you see JJ at AOL.com, that's me.
you." I'll make sure I delete that one
That's my
immediately.
fake one.
Yeah, so it's really cool how we've been able to really upgrade this offering, take this thing to a point where you're in control of it. We've become really, really, strict about what we will send traffic to, because we've always been missing that part of, we all take this approach of post and pray. I'm going to post it out there and pray people see it.
That's the world,
And
man.
and that's, I mean, that's how it works, because you don't have control. Now you can run some ads and help increase your chances of success, but ultimately post and pray is the solution.
Yeah.
We're now trying to create a situation where you can now post and drive. You can post this content and drive traffic to the place where you actually control that, so that people engage with your stuff.
Intent.
Exactly. You can have intent. You don't necessarily have to, pay YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and everybody else to see your stuff. Like, you're driving traffic to one location and people see it all.
I'm gonna go off script real quick. I know
I'd expect nothing less.
I got 8 seconds left, even though we're a half hour
Yeah,
over.
go.
38% of my new channel, Explore Main Life, 38% of my views are on smart TV. And that
Interesting.
38% comprises of 5,000. Well, last I checked, 5,000. It's a brand new channel too. So don't try to compare me to Ken. It's
Right.
a brand new channel. It's 2 months, 3 months old at this point. 5,417 hours of my videos of me walking around at Gunquit, me walking around York, me eating shit is on smart TVs in people's living rooms.
Yep.
I'm in people, I got 5,000 hours of my view time hours in people's living room or bedroom, because we're on smart TVs.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe the majority of those are probably in the bedroom. If I don't have my hat on. Hot. If you know, you know. Anyways, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, right? So this is why do we make video? It's not to get the quick dopamine hit on Facebook, not to get the quick dopamine. It's all really to drive it to longer form content, in my view, or drive it to another location that you control, right? Now I can take my YouTube videos, check it. I can take my YouTube videos, I can embed them in a blog, I can embed them in a site. And now all of a sudden, when they get played, I get those view times, right? Or I get that credit. I can also upload it directly, but I utilize YouTube for this. Why? It's that important to me, because if I have 5,400 hours, 38% of my view time is on a smart TV. On Explore My Town's channel, it was like 48% at one point. I haven't checked that one for a while. So 53% maybe at its peak. So if you're not doing all of these activities, they all come together. It's not just about doing video on social.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about writing a blog, right? It's not about just having IDX on your website. It's about bringing all these things together. And that's what we've done, and that's what you can control.
Yeah. The omnipresence of it. You now are effectively everywhere. And that's the coolest part of it, is that now you're totally in the driver's seat and in control of that traffic flow. So
I think I'm gonna get one of these swoopies in the front.
Little faux hawk.
Yeah.
It's a look, that's for sure.
I feel like I'm going bald. I'm putting that right back on.
All right, we are way past Johnny Mo. So what do we have for parting thoughts this week?
Discipline. Work on your discipline. Right? Discipline, Matthew Ferry says, a lot of people look at discipline as being restrictive because you have to do these things, when in fact, discipline is freedom.
Yep.
So change your mind, change your thought pattern on it. Right?
Yep.
You want to quit alcohol? Quit alcohol. I mean, we stop saying I'm gonna and just do.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. For my parting thought is be intentional. We're trying to be much more intentional with everything we do, from what we do to how we do it, to when we do it, to how often we do it. Intentionality is a big piece of this business. It's getting up every day with a plan, not letting the day, you run the day, don't let the day run you. So we're trying to do everything we are doing with much more intention, so we can make a much larger impact.
Amen.
Amen. So with that, we'll call it a day. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday at noon for the 90 and 90. And we'll be back again next Friday with an update on the week. So with that, have a good day.
Say love.